Good morning, students. So, how are you guys? Yes, good morning, SK Sahu, Divya Kumari, Sankaran V. So, you are all ready. So, students, this is our second lecture on the subject auditing and ethics, and we are doing first chapter, that is nature, objective, and scope of audit. So, guys, I had requested you to just open up your module. Were you able to do so? Or if you have still not got the printed copy, have you downloaded the material, this chapter from website and tried to go through the same? Have you done it? Yes. Yes, Bhavna, Parth. Yes. Am I audible? Divya, you are saying voice is not coming. Confirm, am I audible? Yes. Yes. Some of you are saying that you indeed went through your module or or the chapter you downloaded. Okay, that's fine. So students, a day before yesterday, we had understood the meaning of audit. So we had devoted considerable time in understanding that what audit is all about. Okay, so it is very important for you guys to understand that what audit is all about, what is its meaning, what is its nature, what are its attributes. Okay, so a quick recap, that audit is an independent examination of financial information of an entity when it is undertaken with a view to express opinion. Okay, fine enough. And as regards objectives, we had learned that objective of an independent auditor of financial statements is to obtain what? Is to obtain reasonable assurance as to whether financial statements are free from material misstatement as a whole. Okay, whether it is due to error or due to fraud. And second most important thing, and to report on the financial statements, the ultimate outcome of audit. So the auditor would obtain reasonable assurance and then would report on the financial statements in accordance with auditor's findings. Okay, so we had also touched upon what standards on auditing are. Basically, you can understand that standards on auditing deal with responsibilities of auditor while planning and performing audit. Okay, so there are standards. There are standards on auditing. 500 relates to audit evidence. Okay, so you would be studying about all these things in the coming chapters. So any doubt, students, any doubt regarding what you have learned till now? Yes, Rahul. Rahul is asking, what do we mean by auditor's findings? Yes, Rahul, good question. See, when the auditor performs his work by following certain procedures, say he is inspecting some document, he is going through some document, and say he finds some errors or he finds some inconsistencies. and then he tries to obtain sufficient appropriate audit evidence in this regard, and after obtaining audit evidence he reaches some conclusions. So these take shape of auditor's findings. So he has some concrete material, concrete evidence in his hand uh, to support his findings. Okay, which would be ultimately affecting his opinion. Yes, is that clear to you, Rahul? Yes, Sadika is saying yes, as per Essay 200, Sadika, these are the objectives of independent audit. So these are in very condensed form. If you study them twice or thrice, you would understand that how elaborative these are. Okay. Yes, Rita, if you missed earlier lecture, you can log in. You can continue with this lecture and just go through and just understand what I'm saying. I have already given a brief of what we had studied day before yesterday. Okay, students. So again, students, a quick look at what we had done yesterday, day before yesterday. So meaning of audit is it is independent examination of financial information of an entity when undertaken to express opinion. And objective of audit is to obtain reasonable assurance whether financial statements are free from material misstatements, whether due to errors or frauds as a whole, and to report on financial statements in accordance with the auditor's findings. Now, Hari, you are saying what do we mean by interdisciplinary nature? So, Hari, were you present in previous class? I don't think you were present. So, interdisciplinary means which is connected with many disciplines. Like auditing in itself is a subject, it is a discipline, and it has relationship with other fields, with other subjects, like accountancy, like law, like economics. So all these things make the nature of auditing interdisciplinary. It draws from all these sources. It gathers knowledge from all these sources and enriches itself in the process. Okay. So auditing draws from all these things and in the process enriches itself, because you see, auditor cannot operate in isolation. He cannot operate in vacuum. When you are conducting audit, many things are affecting. Say a person is conducting audit of a company, then on that company many laws would be applicable. Like say income tax would be applicable, indirect taxes would be there, other laws would be there. So the auditor would need to have a basic knowledge of all these laws to carry out an effective audit. That is why we say that auditing is interdisciplinary in nature. Yes, Hari Thakur, is that clear? Yes, Charitra is saying, what does it mean that financial statements are prepared in all material respects? So, Charitra, you have to understand that financial statements are prepared in accordance with reporting framework. Okay, like in case of companies, reporting framework is prescribed by law under Companies Act 2013, Schedule 3. So in all material respects, in all significant aspects, it is the financial statements are prepared in accordance with the reporting framework. Yes, so Bhiksha, again the same question you are saying to explain auditor's findings. So my request to all of you is you would understand these terms better when we move forward. Okay. Yes, Satyam is asking, is auditor liable for examining the financial information and not liable for rectify it? Yes, good question, Satyam. Satyam, it happens that suppose as an auditor you find some misstatements in the financial statements. So if you have evidence to back those financial statements, to back those misstatements, you would ask the management to correct those misstatements. You by yourself you cannot rectify. Or why you cannot rectify by yourself? Because preparation of financial statements is responsibility of management. You have always to understand, guys, this is one of the basic fundas, very important thing. Always remember that preparation and presentation of financial statements is the responsibility of whom? Is the responsibility of the management, is the responsibility of the entity, is the responsibility of the company. Okay, so preparation including its presentation. So obviously if there are some misstatements, so what does the logic say? If there are some misstatements, obviously these would be rectified, these would be corrected by the entity or by those persons who are responsible for preparing and presenting these financial statements. Isn't it? Yes. Is it clear to you? Yes, is it clear to you, Satyam? Tell me. And two more queries from Nitya Shri and Manikandan. Nitya Shri is asking again, explain the um, relationship between auditing and human behavior. So I had explained previously also. So the auditor, while auditing, the auditor has to communicate with a lot of persons in the company, in the entity, in the organization. He has to interact with not only with the management but also with the employees. He has to make inquiries. He has to seek information. So if a person who doesn't understand human behavior, uh, who doesn't understand a little bit of psychology, then he obviously he would not be a good auditor, because he would not be able to judge uh, if the person from whom informations are being sought, whether he is trying to mislead you. So these things come with experience. So it is in this sense that we say that auditing is linked with study of human behavior. It is not that he has to be a specialist and these kind of things. So it is in this context that we see that we say that auditing is also linked with study of human behavior or with the behavioral science. Clear? Yes. Nityashri, is it clear? Yes, EDP, Amit Kumar, electronic data processing related to IT, because uh, IT, all the records are maintained using systems these days. So obviously the auditor need to have understanding of the systems, basic understanding. And Mani Kannan, you are saying that if the auditor audits the uh, financial statements of his friend, then whether it would be independent or not. See, independence is not a straight jacket concept. Independence has to be evaluated depending upon circumstances. Okay, so when we talk about natural relationships, so you can't avoid those natural relationships. If somebody is your brother, he is your brother. Okay, so uh, in those cases, there is complete bar. But in other cases, it has to be evaluated by the auditor depending upon his professional judgment. It independence doesn't mean that simply you know somebody and say you are having social acquaintance with somebody, that then you cannot conduct audit of the financial statements of that person. It is not like that. Okay. Yes, Gayatri, around 38 essays are there. So okay, so I have taken considerable queries of you guys. So now let us start with the chapter. So objectives of audit we had already done. So again, guys, there was a word which we had learned in our previous class, that is reasonable assurance. So you have to understand that reasonable assurance is to be distinguished from absolute assurance. So these are two different words. So auditor obtains reasonable assurance, not absolute assurance. So what is absolute assurance? Absolute assurance is complete guarantee that financial statements are free from material misstatements. However, reasonable assurance is not a complete guarantee, but it is still a high level of assurance. It is still a high level of assurance, but not a complete assurance, but not an absolute assurance. Clear, students? So this is one of the most important terms in auditing. In every chapter, you would find reasonable assurance. So make no mistake, students, and understand this term clearly. Many times, as MCQ has also come on this thing, that say reasonable assurance is option A, high level of assurance, moderate level of assurance, low level of assurance. So these kind of things. It is not a complete assurance. Remember, I think we have devoted considerable time on this issue. And audit of financial statements is performed by auditor in accordance with standards on auditing, in accordance with essays. So how does auditor perform the audit? How does he carry out the audit? He performs various audit procedures. Now, what are the audit procedures? Like say inspection. He if auditor is going through some document, he is inspecting some document, or he is say he is observing uh, physical verification of physical counting of inventories of the company. So he is observing that process. Okay, or say he is sending external confirmation requests to the debtors, to the trade receivables. So this is again an external confirmation procedure. So by performing such procedures, the auditor obtains audit evidence. So in audit, we say that auditor obtains sufficient appropriate evidence. So detailing of what is sufficient appropriate evidence, this you would be learning in chapter 4. Okay, for the time being, you have to understand only this much, that auditor obtains sufficient appropriate evidence. This is also very important term. In everywhere you would find written sufficient appropriate evidence. So as I told you last time, that you have to remember these keywords. You cannot replace these keywords with your own words. These are the soul of the auditing. So if you take out the soul, what would be left? Dead body. Okay, and then you will say that no marks are given. Yes, Gunjan. Essays are issued under the authority of the Council of ICAI. Misstatements in financial statements can occur due to fraud, error or both. This is also important. It can happen that misstatements in financial statements occur either due to fraud or due to error, or a combination of both. There may be errors only, or there may be frauds only, or there could be errors or frauds both. Clear? So this is all the breakup. This is all the detailing of the objectives of auditor as listed out in essay 200. Okay. So here is also table for you for quick learning, that these are the objectives of audit, a checklist type of thing. So you can easily remember from here also. Yes. Now we come to scope of audit. Scope of audit. Yes, students, tell me, what does scope mean? When we say what is scope of something, what do we mean by scope? Yes, Avinash, you are saying that if person whose financials are being audited does not provide sufficient documents, then auditor, it is open for the auditor to give his opinion accordingly. Yes. Scope means reach of something, range of something. That कितना, what is included in it, कितना expensive है वो चीज, and what things, what elements are included. That say when we refer to scope of audit, we shall study that what type of things fall within the field of auditing, and what type of things do not fall within the field of auditing. Okay, clear? What you understand the meaning of scope? Now, what is the purpose of the audit? As we had as we have learnt, the purpose of audit is to give assurance to users, to provide comfort to users. Okay, so and the process of audit increases this degree of confidence. So I told you that when a user, say when a banker sees the financial statements audited by a chartered accountant, obviously his confidence in those financial statements signed by a professional obviously increases, isn't it? As compared to financial statements which are not audited and which are prepared by the management only. Okay, so financial reporting framework, students, we had already done. So following points are included in scope of audit of financial statements. So following things are included in scope of audit of financial statements. What are those things? These things are that it covers all aspects of the entity. The audit of financial statements should be organized to cover all aspects of the entity which are relevant to the financial information contained in financial statements. So all things which are present there in financial statements, like all its elements, like operational results, like turnover, like expenses, like all its assets, including fixed assets, including current assets, all payables. So all aspects of the financial statements, all aspects of the entity which are relevant to the preparation of financial statements should be and are included in scope of audit. Okay, and reliability and sufficiency of financial information. So the auditor, when he is auditing financial statements, he has to make sure that from that account books from where financial statements have been prepared, these tally, these reconcile with the financial statements, and the entries in the books of accounts are passed. These have been passed backed by valid evidence, like there is source data on the basis of which entries have been passed. It is not that any entry is passed. Say if a entry of sales is there, so there are adequate documents to back it. Okay, like if an entry of purchase is there, so there should be a purchase invoice, there should be a proof for, say, transportation of goods. Okay, so all these kind of things. Clear, students? And not only this, the auditor has also to judge reliability and sufficiency of financial information by making a study of the accounting system and controls. So what is this, students? This means that before the auditor conducts audit, he gains an understanding of whole system of the company, of the entity, for preparation of financial statements. Not only for the preparation of financial statements, but how the company is organizing its operations. So this we in audit we call it as internal control. So this you would also be learning in detail in chapter 3. So all these terms students have 15-20 pages, around so many pages devoted in your study material, devoted in your modules. Okay, like what is internal control? You need to understand that every company, every organization to work to achieve its objectives, they need to have a system that how things will move, how operations will be carried out. Okay, how purchases will be made, how orders would be placed. Okay, how records would be maintained, and how it would be ensured that there is no fraud by employees of the company. Obviously, to run a business, you need to have a system. So all these things form the basis of internal control. So in auditing, we use this term internal control. Okay, so auditor also makes a study of the internal control. So you would say, what is its importance? Why does auditor do so? Say, it is very logical to understand, guys. Say uh, if the internal control is working satisfactorily, then auditor's work becomes relatively easy. He can place his reliance on the internal control systems, on the systems that the company has got good in-house systems in its place, so he can place reliance on those systems. Okay, but if the controls at the first stage are not operating satisfactorily, the system in itself is not good, the controls have not been designed in a good manner, then how the auditor is going to be able to rely upon the financial information produced by those systems? You can understand. Clear, students? So just have a preliminary understanding of what we mean by accounting systems and internal controls. So for basic understanding, this much knowledge is sufficient. As I am telling you, you would be reading about internal controls in greater detail in chapter 3. There is a complete topic, 20-30 pages, 40 pages on internal control. For the time being, you can understand it is a system which is developed by an entity, by an organization to carry out its operations smoothly, effectively, efficiently. अगर किसी कंपनी में स्टूडेंट्स प्रॉपर सिस्टम नहीं होगा तो वो कंपनी कैसे अपना प्रोडक्ट बेच पाएगी, कैसे प्रॉफिट कमा पाएगी? अगर उसमें कोई प्रॉपर सिस्टम नहीं है परचेज का, सेल का, एक्सपेंसेस का, तो एक्सपेंसेस को कंट्रोल करने का या अपने इंप्लॉइज की वर्किंग पे चेक रखने का, तो कैसे कंपनी काम कर पाएगी? तो इन बेसिकली दिस इज व्हाट we mean by internal control in very basic, simple, crude language. Okay, is it clear to you, students? So another thing is proper disclosure of financial statements. Now disclosures are very important. in financial statements. So students, if you remember Schedule 3 of Companies Act, you would also remember that it requires many disclosures to be made, like disclosures regarding accounting policies, what accounting policies are followed by the company in respect to different areas, relating to uh, relating to revenue recognition, okay, or say valuation of inventories. So all these things. So all these audit includes verifying that proper disclosure of financial information is there in the financial statements. So disclosure is also very important. Disclosure is also very important. So as far as accounting policies are concerned, students, you have to remember that choice of an appropriate accounting policy is the call of the management, is the prerogative of the management. ऑडिटर कोई अकाउंटिंग पॉलिसी थोड़ा चूज करेगा. अकाउंट्स किसने बनाने हैं, ये बेसिक कंसेप्ट ध्यान में रखिए आप स्टूडेंट्स की. बुक्स ऑफ अकाउंट्स मेंटेन करने की रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी किसकी है, कंपनी की, मैनेजमेंट की. फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट्स बनाने की रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी किसकी है, कंपनी की, मैनेजमेंट की. तो फिर अकाउंटिंग पॉलिसी चूज करने की रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी भी किसकी है, कंपनी की, मैनेजमेंट की. ओके, सो ऑडिटर की रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी क्या है. So auditor's responsibility is to evaluate, is to assess whether accounting policy chosen by the management is appropriate in the circumstances and whether it is applied consistently on a period to period basis. आप मैनेजमेंट ने तो मैनेजमेंट हैज चूजन ए पर्टिकुलर मेथड, सो द चॉइस इज विद द मैनेजमेंट. नाउ after the management has chosen, the auditor comes into the picture and he evaluates and he assesses. What is the meaning of evaluation? Evaluation means to assess something against some benchmarks. Okay, so the auditor evaluates, he assesses whether the chosen accounting policy is appropriate in the circumstances and whether it has been consistently applied. ऐसा तो नहीं हो रहा कि लास्ट ईयर कुछ और था, इस साल अब्रप्टली कुछ और कर दिया. कुछ सर्कमस्टांसिस कोई चेंज नहीं हुए, कोई लास्ट ईयर आपने मेथड स्टॉक वैल्यूएशन का कुछ लगाया था, आप कुछ लगा दिया. सो ऑडिटर रोल is of this nature. Okay, now Rahul, again you are asking how auditor comes to know whether financial statements are free from material misstatements. Rahul, this is all what auditing is about. ऑडिटर को कैसे पता चलेगा कि फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट में कोई मिसस्टेटमेंट्स नहीं है. He would be conducting audit, भैया. He would be performing procedures. He would be obtaining audit evidence. He would be conducting audit in accordance with standards on auditing. By performing those procedures, by obtaining audit evidence, he on the basis of that, he would be drawing conclusions and forming the opinion. It is only when he has performed all those procedures, he has carried out the audit in accordance with standards on auditing, then he can say whether financial statements are free from material misstatements or not. Yes, Rahul, is it clear to you? Yes, Rahul, tell me, is it clear to you? Divya, you are asking, is audit only checking or evaluating? No, auditing is not only ticking. Divya, auditing is not only ticking checkbox. It is analyzing the financial information. Apart from routine verification, it 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 includes, it means evaluating the financial information which is presented before you. It is not just telling one thing with another. No. Yes, Rituraj, you are asking scope of audit is limited to financial statements only. Rituraj, you have to understand, first frame your questions properly. When we talk of audit, we are talking about audit of financial statements. So everything which is every aspect of business which is reflected in the financial statements is the concern of audit, falls within the scope of audit. That is why we are saying that audit should cover all aspects, because all, obviously, what are financial statements? Students, tell me, what are financial statements? जो भी कंपनी में, जो भी एंटिटी में वर्किंग हुई है, डेली में वर्किंग होती है, वो कहां रिफ्लेक्ट होती है? वो उसके बुक्स ऑफ अकाउंट्स में रिफ्लेक्ट होती है। ओके, और बुक्स ऑफ अकाउंट से क्या बनती हैं? उनसे फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट्स बनती हैं। सो व्हाट आर फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट्स? दीज आर कंडेंस्ड इंफॉर्मेशन which summarize the working of the entity in a given period, isn't it? Isn't it so? So therefore all the information which is there in the financial statements, it reflects the different aspects of the working of the entity. Okay, like say, if there is a manufacturing company, so purchases are taking place, machine, it is converting raw material into finished goods, using machinery, finished goods are being produced and the sales are being made. If sales are taking place, then obviously debtors would be there. And on the liability side, since purchases of raw material are taking place, creditors would be there. So, and for its day-to-day running, the company would be incurring expenditures. So these are all aspects of the entity which go into making financial statement. Okay. Clear, Rituraj? Yes, Rituraj, is it clear? Yes, Devender, yes. Financial statements include balance sheet, profit and loss, and notes, and accompanying notes, and cash flow also, wherever it is required. Yes, Devender, I have. What about notes preparation? Which kind of notes you are saying, Devender? You are saying please prepare notes also, as online coaching is started late. So in the interest of, no, we yes, you are saying that I shall complain to you. Okay, very good. Which kind of notes you are saying, Devender? Which kind of notes you are saying? We are not, we cannot prepare notes on your behalf. Whatever points you have to make, you have to prepare notes yourself, and you have to understand first and then start preparing notes if you need so. What we would be uploading from our side is we shall be uploading MCQs and other questions for your practice. Okay. Clear, Devender? Yes. And students, remember that financial statements are prepared on basis of historical financial information. Now, what is historical financial information? What is historical financial information? Yes, students. What is historical financial information? Historical financial information means that the event has occurred in past, like say, and a company purchases some goods, then the event has occurred in the past, the purchases have been made, so you are verifying those things which those transactions which have already taken place. Okay, so remember students that financial statements are prepared on the basis of historical financial information. Okay, these are prepared on the basis of historical financial information. The transactions which you are seeing in the balance sheet, in the profit and loss, these have already taken place. These have already taken place. These are not live. These are not, you are not seeing the information as it is happening. It has already taken place. It has already happened. It is a thing of past. Okay. So that is why we say that financial statements of a company, of an entity, are prepared on the basis of historical financial information. Okay. So what is its meaning? Historical financial information means information expressed in financial terms in relation to a particular entity, derived primarily from its system about economic events occurring in some past periods. Okay, or about economic conditions or circumstances at points in time in the past. Okay, clear? Yes, students, is that clear? Historical, you understand what is historical financial information? आपको इस बारे में कोई स्टूडेंट्स डाउट है? हिस्टोरिकल फाइनेंशियल इंफॉर्मेशन क्या होती है, इस बारे में एनी डाउट स्टूडेंट्स? यस. No, Devinder Singh, again you are saying that please provide notes as private coaching institutes provide. That is your own option. Okay, you are studying coaching, you are watching live coaching classes. So we cannot provide you books or notes as you have only to read from the board of studies module material. Okay. Yes, clear. Historical financial information. हिस्टोरिकल फाइनेंशियल इंफॉर्मेशन का क्या मतलब है? हिस्टोरिकल फाइनेंशियल इंफॉर्मेशन का मतलब है कि फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट्स उस चीज से रिलेट करती हैं जिसका कि जो पास्ट में हो चुकी है. लाइक आई वाज टॉकिंग अबाउट सेल्स, सो दीज हैव taken place in the past, or expenses these have incurred in the past, these have been incurred in the past, purchases these have taken place in the past. So all the transactions have sometime taken place, have sometime occurred at one point of time during the year. Okay. So, yes, good question, Manohar. You are asking what is the relevance of historical financial information in auditing? It is very relevant. Manohar, you have to understand that auditing is concerned with the past events. It does not relates to future event. It does not give any assurance regarding future viability of future events happening. So it is therefore very important to understand that auditing is concerned with the events which have occurred in the past, because it is only in this context that events which have occurred in the past that the auditor can express an opinion, that the auditor can express assurance. Okay. That is why it is important to say that financial statements are prepared on basis of historical financial information, and auditing in itself is concerned with historical financial information contained in financial statements. Yes, students, clear? Yes. Clear, students? So therefore it is important students learn that financial statements are prepared on the basis of historical financial information. It is logical that audit of financial statements is also based on historical financial information. क्लियर है स्टूडेंट्स आपको? फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट्स जो हैं वो खुद हिस्टोरिकल फाइनेंशियल इंफॉर्मेशन के बेसिस पे बनती हैं, इसलिए ऑडिट भी हिस्टोरिकल फाइनेंशियल इंफॉर्मेशन का ही होता है, क्योंकि फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट्स की नेचर ही है ऐसी है कि वो जो पास्ट में इवेंट्स हो चुके हैं उसके बेसिस पे बनती है, इसलिए ऑडिट भी ऑब्वियसली उसी चीज का हो रहा है जिस चीज पे वो बेस्ड है. क्लियर? यस. Now, scope of audit, what it does not include. Scope of audit, what it does not include. Students, till now we have learned कि audit में क्या क्या include होता है. What is included in audit. Now we are going to learn what is not included in audit. What is beyond the reach of audit. Okay. What is beyond the scope of audit. ठीक है, तो क्या क्या चीजें ऑडिट के स्कोप से बाहर हैं? like suppose students, you are auditing a financial statements of a manufacturing company. Say the company is engaged in manufacturing of textile fabrics. Okay, let us say. So the machinery which the company is using is imported high tech machinery. Okay, so would the auditor would be able to comment on the physical condition of machinery? Would it fall within his scope, within his domain? Yes, students, tell me. क्या क्या ये चीज उसके स्कोप में आएगी? क्या ये चीज ऑडिटर के स्कोप में आएगी? ऑडिट के स्कोप में आएगी? नहीं, ये चीज ऑडिट के स्कोप में नहीं आएगी. व्हाई? बिकॉज दिस इज द डोमेन ऑफ इंजीनियर्स. या किसी बिल्डिंग की सुटेबिलिटी कितनी है, उसकी एज कितनी है, उसकी कंडीशन क्या है, क्या ये चीज ऑडिटर के डोमेन में आएगी? ऑल्दो इट इज reflected in the financial statements, it would not fall in the domain of the audit because it requires special skills which fall outside the scope of auditors. So it might be the job of civil engineer. Okay. Clear? Is that clear? So these kind of things are not included in the scope of audit. And number two, what other thing is not included? Students, very, very important. You have to remember that auditor, very important point, students. Mark my words, this is very important. An auditor is not expert in authentication of documents. The genuineness of documents cannot be authenticated by him because he is not an expert in this field. क्या स्टूडेंट्स इसका क्या मतलब है? ये स्टूडेंट्स, आपको ये अंडरस्टैंड करना है कि ऑडिटर किसी डॉक्यूमेंट को देख के ये गारंटी नहीं कर सकता दैट दिस डॉक्यूमेंट इज नॉट फैब्रिकेटेड. ये ऑडिटर का फील्ड नहीं है. इट कैन बी फैब्रिकेटेड बिकॉज ही इज नॉट एन एक्सपर्ट इन दिस फील्ड. किसी डॉक्यूमेंट को देख के ये बताना वेदर इट इज फेक और फैब्रिकेटेड, इट इज नॉट द फील्ड ऑफ ऑडिटिंग. हाँ, ऑडिटर अपनी प्रोफेशनल स्किल्स या जजमेंट देख के जजमेंट के साथ he may have some doubts, but he cannot vouch that this document is whether it is fabricated or it is authentic. It is not his field. It falls outside his domain. Authentic means, Divya Kumari, genuine. Okay. Authentic means genuine. So like companies do many type of tricks. They may produce fabricated documents before the auditor. So although auditor would always employ his professional skills, but it is also possible that these things may escape his attention. Okay. It is also possible that these things may escape his attention and he may be led to rely upon those fake documents, those unauthentic documents. It happens practically. Like students in Satyam fraud case, the auditors were led to believe on the fake bank confirmation certificates, on the fake bank statements they were led to believe. So the auditor is not an expert in authentication of documents. Okay. An auditor is not an expert in authentication of documents. The genuineness of documents cannot be authenticated by him because he is not an expert in this field. You have to be very clear on this point, that he cannot vouch on the genuineness of a document. Authentic means genuineness and fake means fabricated. Okay. And another thing, audit is not an official investigation into wrongdoing. Very important, students. Remember, it is very important. There are two terms, students: audit versus investigation. Now, क्या difference है, students? Audit versus investigation. So, students, audit में हम क्या करते हैं? Audit में we obtain reasonable assurance. Audit में तो reasonable assurance, we conduct the audit. We do not assume that fraud is there. However, we perform our procedures, and on the way, if we come across certain deficiencies, we dig out those misstatements, whether arising due to errors or frauds. But what is investigation? Investigation means that we presume from the beginning that a fraud is there. Like, say, a company says that certain employees are committing fraud and he wants some person to investigate it. So they already know that fraud is being committed, or they already suspect that fraud is being committed. So all the procedures in investigation are designed, are tailored towards this objective, to dig out fraud. Whereas in case of auditing, it is not so. Yes, Shivam, investigation is a special field. It is a specialized field, and it is done by special investigators. Even chartered accountants are also investigators. In some cases, they also take investigation exercises. Okay, so there is difference between audit and investigation. Audit means obtaining reasonable assurance. Audit means obtaining reasonable assurance that there are no errors or frauds in the financial statements. But investigation means starting your job from the point that a fraud or wrongdoing is there, that it has already been committed, and you try to dig out who committed the fraud, what is the amount of the fraud. So auditing is different from investigation. Okay, so clear students? आपको ऑडिट और इन्वेस्टिगेशन में डिफरेंस समझ आ गया? इज दैट क्लियर? Yes, Priyanka, if documents are fake, then what he can do, or can he conduct that audit? Say, Priyanka, if during the course of audit, the auditor comes to know the documents are fake, then obviously he would modify his opinion. He would not say that statements reflect true and fair view. But it might so happen that he he relies on those fake documents. The documents are fake, but he is led to believe that documents are genuine. So this is one of the limitation of the audit process itself. That auditor is not an forensic authenticator. That he cannot vouch for the genuineness of the of those documents, because this field is also specialized field. Okay. Yes, Amit, normal audit is not an investigation and forensic is an investigation. Forensic audit is in nature of investigation. Okay, forensic audit is also a specialized field of audit. So nowadays, demand of forensic audit is increasing. This you would be reading in your final exams. Okay. Yes, Priyanka Pandey, you are asking alleged. Alleged means when some allegation is there. Say I had given you example that management or somebody else is alleging that fraud is there. He is making an allegation of wrongdoing. Okay. So I have already explained the investigation and audit. And so now we take these few test your understanding questions. So let us see your understanding. So students, there is a person, Mr. Lalji Bhai, he has purchased shares of a company listed on NSE. उसने एक आदमी ने मिस्टर लालजी भाई हैज परचेज शेयर्स ऑफ ए कंपनी लिस्टेड ऑन एनएसई, जो स्टॉक एक्सचेंज में लिस्टेड है, उसके शेयर्स उसने परचेज किए हैं. The audited financial statements of company provide picture of healthy financial performance, having good turnover, low debt and good profits. On above basis, he is absolutely satisfied that money invested by him is safe and there is no chance of losing the money. Do audited results and audit report of companies provide such type of assurance? Is thinking of Lalji Bhai is correct? So students, आपको क्वेश्चन समझ में आ गया? Have you understood the question? A person has purchased some shares of a company which is listed on a stock exchange. ठीक है? और उस कंपनी की जो फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट्स हैं वो उस आदमी ने देखी हैं और उसमें अच्छे प्रॉफिट्स हैं, अच्छी टर्नओवर है और कंपनी के लोन भी कम है. अब उसके बेस पे वो एब्सोल्युटली सेटिस्फाइड हो रहा है कि जो कंपनी में पैसा वो लगा रहा है, जो उस लगाने जा रहा है, जो उसने लगाया है वो सेफ है, उसका पैसा डूबेगा नहीं. क्या ऑडिट या ऑडिट रिपोर्ट इस टाइप की एश्योरेंस प्रोवाइड करता है? वेदर थिंकिंग ऑफ लालजी भाई इज करेक्ट? यस, टेल मी स्टूडेंट्स, why his thinking is correct or incorrect? आप स्टूडेंट्स आंसर मत देखिए, ट्राई टू सॉल्व द क्वेश्चन ऑन योर ऑन, डू नॉट सी द आंसर. Yes. Yes, almost all of you are stating correctly. So, thinking of this person is not correct. Why? Because audit does not provide absolute assurance. And whether one's money is safe, whether money invested in shares is safe or not, it depends upon host of factors. It depends upon market conditions. It depends upon future events also. कुछ इकोनॉमी में हो गया या उस कंपनी में कुछ बाद में हो गया तो कंपनी की शेयर्स की वैल्यू डाउन हो गई, तो उससे हाउ ऑडिटर वुड बी रिस्पॉन्सिबल फॉर दैट? ऑडिटेड फाइनेंशियल रिपोर्ट्स ऐसी कोई भी एश्योरेंस प्रोवाइड नहीं करती हैं कि जो पैसा आप लगा रहे हो वो सेफ है. It does not provide this kind of assurance. Whether a person would make profits by investing in shares or whether a person would lose money, it depends upon a large number of conditions. Economic conditions, conditions in the company, okay, of the conditions in the sector in which the company is operating. So obviously, the thinking of this Mr. Lalji Bhai is not correct. Okay, so students, you have answered it rightly. All of you have answered it rightly. Well done, students. So it shows that your understanding is getting better. Your understanding is getting better of the subject. Provided that you have not seen the answer, that you have answered it from yourself. For those students who have answered it from yourself, congrats to all of them. Yes, and now we see question number 2. So read this question. So there is a company which is engaged in business of recycling of waste from dumping grounds of municipal corporation of a city to usable manure. एक कंपनी है जो वेस्ट को रिसाइकल कर रही है, वेस्ट को रिसाइकल करके उसका यूजेबल मैन्यूअर, यूजेबल फर्टिलाइजर बना रही है. यस प्रियंका, योर क्वेरीज आर विजिबल. तो इट इज इन दिस वे also helping to make the city clean. So it is helping to make the city clean. So during the course of audit, it is observed that by the auditor that company has received a notice from the NGT, National Green Tribunal, जो एनवायरमेंटल पोल्यूशन के बारे में सब ओवरसी करता है. तो that certain regulations, environmental regulations have been violated and it has issued a notice for imposition of heavy penalty on the company. The company is yet to reply the notice. The auditors point out that same is not stated in the notes to accounts. So does this matter fall within the scope of audit? क्या प्रॉपर डिस्क्लोजर ऑफ इंफॉर्मेशन फॉल करता है स्कोप ऑफ ऑडिट के बारे में? ये स्टूडेंट्स टेल मी, क्या ये चीज ऑडिट के स्कोप में आती है कि नहीं आती? Yes, it falls, proper disclosure of information falls within the scope of audit. So it falls within the scope of audit. So the auditor would like to see that it is properly disclosed in the notes to accounts, because the amount involved is huge. It may lead to future liabilities for the company. The company may be held liable in the future. Okay. Now question number 3. Question number 3. Read question number 3. Read question number 3, students. A huge fire broke out in Noida plant of a company. There is a company KT Limited, उसके एक प्लांट में फायर हो गई. कहां पे? नोएडा में, ठीक है। सो प्लांट एसेट्स comprising building machinery and inventories were insured from an insurance company। तो उसका इंश्योरेंस था किसका? उसकी बिल्डिंग मशीनरी और स्टॉक्स का, उसके प्लांट में फायर हो गई। क्लियर? तो इंश्योरेंस कंपनी ने एक क्या लगा दिया, एक सर्वेयर लगा दिया असेस करने के लिए कि कितना लॉस है, और इसके अलावा एक सीए को भी लगा दिया कि आप इनके बुक्स ऑफ अकाउंट्स और फाइनेंशियल रिकॉर्ड्स जो हैं वेरीफाई करिए, और जो लॉस के सरकमस्टांसिस हैं उसके बारे में बताइए, और आप एक रिपोर्ट दीजिए। तो क्या इस टाइप का काम इट वुड फॉल विद इन द स्कोप ऑफ ऑडिट, और इट इज समथिंग एल्स? क्या इस काम में जो सीए है वो ऑडिट रिपोर्ट इशू करेगा? बताइए, टेल मी स्टूडेंट्स वेदर यू हैव अंडरस्टूड द क्वेश्चन। यस, टेल मी स्टूडेंट्स वेदर यू हैव अंडरस्टूड द क्वेश्चन। एक कंपनी है, उसका नोएडा में प्लांट है, कंपनी के प्लांट में फायर हो गई जिससे उसकी मशीनरी, उसका स्टॉक्स और उसकी बिल्डिंग्स डैमेज हो गए। तो लॉस को असेस करने के लिए कंपनी ने एक इंश्योरेंस सर्वेयर अपॉइंट किया है जो लॉस को असेस करते हैं, और इसके अलावा कंपनी ने एक सीए को भी अपॉइंट किया कि आप देखिए, लॉस के सरकमस्टांसिस के बारे में देखिए और उसकी बुक्स ऑफ अकाउंट्स वेरीफाई करिए, उसके क्वांटम ऑफ लॉस के बारे में। तो क्या सीए जो है इस केस में जो अपॉइंट किया वो एक ऑडिट रिपोर्ट देगा? क्या ये चीज ऑडिट के स्कोप में आएगी? बताइए। यस स्टूडेंट्स, यस, सम ऑफ यू हैव आंसर्ड इट राइटली, सम ऑफ यू हैव आंसर्ड इट रॉन्गली। द करेक्ट आंसर इज दैट इट डज नॉट फॉल इन द स्कोप ऑफ ऑडिट। इट इज इट इज इन द नेचर ऑफ इन्वेस्टिगेशन। एक इंश्योरेंस कंपनी ने आपको एक काम दिया एक स्पेसिफिक ऑब्जेक्टिव के साथ कि आपको ये ढूंढना है कि आपको इसमें इसको इसको इस मैटर को इन्वेस्टिगेट करना है कि फायर के लगने के सरकमस्टांसिस क्या थे और उसकी बुक्स ऑफ अकाउंट्स में क्या है लॉस के बारे में। तो ये ऑडिट नहीं है, ये एक स्पेसिफिक ऑब्जेक्टिव के साथ दिया गया है। In this case, the CA would not be issuing an audit report. He would be issuing an investigation report. Such type of things do not fall in the scope of audit. Okay. So clear students, आपको ऑडिट और इन्वेस्टिगेशन के बारे में डिफरेंस कुछ समझ में आया कि ऑडिट, इस क्वेश्चन से आपको ऑडिट और इन्वेस्टिगेशन के बारे में डिफरेंस समझ में आया? ऑडिट जो है वो होल फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट्स का होता है जिसका पर्पस ओपिनियन देना होता है फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट्स के बारे में कि वो फाइनेंशियल रिजल्ट्स का ट्रू एंड फेयर व्यू रिफ्लेक्ट करते हैं कि नहीं करते। जबकि ये इस सिचुएशन में स्पेसिफिक ऑब्जेक्टिव जो फायर लॉस हुआ है उसके बारे में CA has been appointed for the specific objective of digging out the facts regarding the loss, regarding the fire loss which has occurred. He has not been appointed to conduct audit of the financial statements. So clear students? Yes, Suraj, you can call it a sort of forensic. Yes. For all who are writing no, congrats to all of those persons that they have applied their mind, and simultaneously when you when you answer the questions, also try to figure out the reasons why it is so, ताकि आप जो आपने थ्योरिटिकल कंसेप्ट पढ़ा है स्टूडेंट्स, आप उसको अप्लाई कर पाए, आप उसको अप्लाई कर पाए. सो ऑल ऑफ दोज हु हैव रिटन नो, इट मींस दैट यू हैव अंडरस्टूड the difference between audit and investigation quite well. Yes, Niharika, do such, you are saying do such responsibility provided in case 3 fall under the scope of a CA. So Niharika, first you have to make distinction between CA and audit. CA can do many type of things. CA can investigate also. CA can audit also. Okay. CA can be a consultant also. CA can appear before a tax authority also. But here the question is asking whether CA can give audit report. He cannot give audit report. He, although this work can be performed by chartered accountant, but this work is not in nature of audit. It is in nature of investigation. Yes, clear to you, Niharika? Yes, Niharika. Is that clear to you? Niharika, yes, tell me, is the answer clear to you? Although this work can be performed by CA, but this is not in the nature of audit. This is not in the nature of audit report. He would not be issuing audit report in such a case. Yes, he will he will be giving his report, a separate report, but it would not be nature of audit report. It would be nature of investigation report. So the question is asking you to answer whether whether he would be giving a audit report. No, because audit report would only be given when audit is conducted. In this case, no audit is being conducted. Yes, Rahul, what kind of question you are asking? Is auditor like a doctor? Auditor is a professional. In that sense, you can say auditing is a profession, just like medicine is a profession. Okay. Yes, Amit Kumar, you are asking whether your reason is correct. So what is your reason, Amit? Yes, it is investigation, and it is, as it was appointed by someone who will. No, second reason is not correct. Is the way out of the way. First of your reason is correct, and that is the primary reason. Okay. Clear, students? So आपको you get a you get to understand the difference between audit and investigation. Is that clear to you guys? Yes, Gunjan, we will be explaining to you how to write answers, but as the time comes, so you first attend 4 or 5 lectures, and then we will tell you how to write answers in your exams, and how not to commit silly and foolish mistakes in the exams. So first you try to gain understanding of the exam, understanding of the subject. Do not jump to the exams right way. Okay. Now we come to next topic, inherent limitations of audit. Inherent limitations of audit. सो स्टूडेंट्स टेल मी, लिमिटेशन का क्या मतलब है? अर्लियर वी had read about scope of audit. Now we are going to read about the limitations of audit. And what is the meaning of inherent? Do you have any idea, students? इन दोनों वर्ड्स का क्या मतलब है? इनहेरेंट लिमिटेशंस ऑफ ऑडिट. इनहेरेंट का क्या मतलब है और लिमिटेशंस का क्या मतलब है? I am looking at all comments. Yes, students, it is not possible to reply to each and every comment. So I am taking all different comments, different queries. Yes. Yes, Sadika, what was your query? You are saying that it is not replied, Sadika. What you are asking, Sadika, please resend your query. It was probably related to, you were saying, last question, audit report. So I have already explained to you, Sadika. I have already explained that why it would fall under investigation and why not under audit report. Yes. Pooja Gupta. Yes. Pooja is saying limitations means boundary. Yes. Yes. To some extent correct. And what is inherent? What is inherent, students? What is the meaning of inherent? Inherent means which is coming from within. जो उसके अंदर से आ रही है चीज. Which is inbuilt in it. Okay. Like this is a mobile. So software is inbuilt in it. Okay. So inherent limitations of audit means there are certain things which there are certain drawbacks in audit which are inbuilt in its very nature, which are inbuilt in its process. क्योंकि वो ऑडिट की नेचर, ऑडिट का स्वभाव ही ऐसा है कि वो चीजें ऑडिट की लिमिटेशंस बनाती हैं कि ऑडिट उससे ज्यादा नहीं कर सकता. ओके, ये इस चीज का मतलब है. सो क्लियर स्टूडेंट्स, इनहेरेंट लिमिटेशंस ऑफ ऑडिट का मतलब क्या है? यस गाइस, यस टेल मी, आप क्लियर है कि इनहेरेंट लिमिटेशंस का मतलब क्या है? इनहेरेंट आई हैव ऑलरेडी एक्सप्लेन्ड. इनहेरेंट मींस जो उस चीज के अंदर से आ रहा है. इट इज कमिंग फ्रॉम विद इन. वो इनबिल्ट है. जैसे कि इस मोबाइल में कोई सॉफ्टवेयर है तो वो इस मोबाइल में इनबिल्ट है. ओके. इसलिए जो ऑडिटिंग प्रोसेस में इनबिल्ट चीजें हैं उसको उसमें प्रेजेंट है क्योंकि उसकी नेचर ही ऐसी है, उससे एराइज हो रही हैं, इसलिए इसको इनहेरेंट लिमिटेशंस कहते हैं. ओके. यस मनीष, वेरी गुड क्वेश्चन. So before we start about inherent limitations, Manish has asked a very good question. Manish is asking, does this also mean that they will occur in every audit? Yes, Manish. Superb. So I will try to answer this query. So definitely, Manish, your query is right that these limitations occur in every audit. These are present in every audit because these arise from the nature of audit, from the process of audit. Therefore, these are present in every audit. The all auditors have to face these limitations. No auditor can avoid these limitations. That is why we call these limitations as inherent limitations. Okay, very good question, Manish. So, guys, ask these type of intelligent questions. Okay, okay, students. So let's have a short break of 5 minutes. So see you after 5 minutes, guys. See you after 5 minutes, guys. Yes, break for 5 minutes. Yes, guys, break for 5 minutes. Yes. Welcome back, guys. So, students, we were talking about inherent limitations of audit. Now we would discuss about why do these inherent limitation arise. ये inherent limitations क्यों होती हैं? Yes, Devender, your questions are reaching me, student. Why are you worried? Your queries are reaching me. So these fundamental limitations arise due to the following factors. किन वजह से इनहेरेंट लिमिटेशंस अराइज होती हैं? अब हम उन फैक्टर्स को स्टडी करेंगे जिनकी वजह से इनहेरेंट लिमिटेशंस अराइज होती हैं. तो क्या क्या वो फैक्टर्स हैं? नंबर 1 इज नेचर ऑफ फाइनेंशियल रिपोर्टिंग. So students, when we prepare financial statements, when management prepares financial statements, it makes a lot of judgments. Like it chooses the accounting policies. Like say it might choose that this method for stock valuation is appropriate. Okay. Or it may choose some policy available in respect of how revenue is to be recognized. Or say it may have to decide upon whether a provision has to be made in respect of certain liability or whether it would be shown as contingent liability. So all these type of things are part of the process of preparing financial statements. So nature of financial reporting is such that it involves making judgments by the management in many vital aspects, in many important aspects. So making judgments is always a subjective decision, and it may lead to misstatements. Okay. Therefore we say that it is due to the nature of financial reporting that inherent limitations of audit arise, because the process of preparation of financial statements, the process of nature of financial reporting is such that it gives rise to uncertainties. Okay, that it involves making subjective judgments. Okay, subjective judgment, students, you understand what are subjective judgments? Subjective means taking a decision when a wide range of choices are available to you. So depending upon the circumstances, the management takes a decision. The management chooses from those available options. Okay. Yes, Rahul, I have given you the example. So whether in respect of some liability, whether a provision is to be made or whether it is contingent liability. Now, who would decide this? Suppose एक कंपनी के अगेंस्ट कोर्ट केस चल रहा है और क्या कंपनी उसको लाइबिलिटी को जो कॉस्ट है उसका वो प्रोविजन बनाए, उसके क्या सरकमस्टांसिस हैं, या वो उसको कॉन्टिंजेंट लाइबिलिटी डिस्क्लोज करे. तो इसके बारे में सब्जेक्टिव मैनेजमेंट को एक डिसीजन लेना है डिपेंडिंग अपॉन दो सर्कमस्टांसेस. तो वो डिसीजन लेने के बारे में हो सकता है मैनेजमेंट चूक जाए, मैनेजमेंट मिस्टेक कर दे, मैनेजमेंट की जजमेंट ठीक ना हो, क्योंकि ये जजमेंट पे डिपेंड करता है. इसलिए there would be a possibility that there would be misstatements in the financial statements, and the auditor may not be able to detect those misstatements. Okay. Yes, Rito, the auditor checks this, but these cannot be completely avoided. These cannot be completely avoided. Okay. Girja, financial reporting means uh, when how financial statements are prepared and reported in accordance with the reporting framework. Okay. Yes, Sakti, subjective decision I have already explained. Subjective decision I have already explained to you by giving example. When there are a range of choices before the management to choose from, and the management chooses one of those choices, then there is a possibility that management may make a wrong choice. Okay. And another thing is again uh, that financial statements are prepared by the management in accordance with the reporting framework, and after devising suitable internal controls. Okay. So there is always a possibility that controls which have been built by the management, that controls which have been established by a company to run its business, to run its show, these in itself, these are not being followed, these are being bypassed. Okay. So say when the internal controls are not being followed, when the internal controls are being bypassed by the staff of the company, so obviously there would be a possibility of misstatements creeping in. Auditor कितना check कर लेगा? He always goes by, usually by sample checking. He cannot do 100% checking of every transaction. Okay, so you know that a lot of transactions are taking place in companies daily. Say if 2000 transactions of purchase and sales are taking place daily in a company, so after financial statements are prepared, would it be possible for the auditor to check each and every transaction? No, he would only be checking a sample. Okay. And it is on the basis of test checking, it is on the basis of samples that he would be projecting it to the whole of the financial statements, to whole of the population, to whole of the items. Okay. So but it might so happen that controls which the company has established, these are not being followed by the employees of the company. So what would happen in such a case? When controls are not being followed, so chances of misstatements creeping in the financial statements would be greater. There would be more chance that financial statements are misstated. So this also leads to inherent limitations of audit. Say say there is a company and they have made a system that when a bill is received, then when goods are received, then the goods are checked by the appointed person, by say a supervisor, and then the bill goes to the account section, and say also assume that after the it is checked by supervisor, it is again reviewed by some another person, and suppose both these persons collude together. ओके. तो जिसकी ड्यूटी थी सुपरवाइजर का काम चेक करना, वो दोनों आपस में मिल जाते हैं. सो दे हैव बाईपास द कंट्रोल एंड the quantity received is less, and they pass the bill for the full amount. Okay, so in what has happened in this case? In this case, the control established by the management is not functioning satisfactorily. So that is why auditors, while auditing, first check controls, whether the controls are operating satisfactorily or not. So if the controls are operating satisfactorily, then they get a comfort, they get an assurance that okay, controls are operating satisfactorily. There is less likelihood of misstatements in the financial statements. Okay, if the controls are not operating satisfactorily, then they would say there is greater chance of misstatements creeping in the financial statements, and they would increase their area of checking. Okay. Yes, Meenakshi. Management can also be involved in fraud. Yes, it is quite possible. Yes, Suraj, you are asking, can auditor disclose in his report all such things? Auditor would obtain evidence of all such things. Suraj, but he would report in his audit report final opinion after observing all these things, after gathering evidence about all these things. Finally, he would be reporting his opinion. He would not be reporting all the deficiencies in his report. Okay. Clear, sir? Yes. And somebody is asking, please explain in Hindi. Ganga Rani. Yes. स्टूडेंट्स, आपको धीरे धीरे ऑडिटिंग की टर्म्स के साथ फेमिलियरिटी हो जाएगी. की पेशेंस, आप थोड़ी पेशेंस रखिए, आपको ऑडिटिंग की टर्म्स के साथ फेमिलियरिटी हो जाएगी. जो आप कह रहे हैं इंग्लिश मुश्किल है, आपको इंग्लिश में ही लिखना पड़ेगा पेपर, स्टूडेंट्स जो जिन्होंने इंग्लिश मीडियम ऑप्ट किया हुआ है. सो आप थोड़ी सी टर्म्स लर्न करने की आदत डाल लें. ओके. यस देवेंद्र, हम आपको सारी बातें बताएंगे कि आपको एग्जाम में आंसर कैसे लिखने हैं, आपको तैयारी कैसे करनी है. लेकिन पहले आप कुछ समझ लें, पहले आप सब्जेक्ट का एटलीस्ट एक चैप्टर कंप्लीट कर लें, फिर हम आपको उसके बारे में बताएंगे कि आपको क्वेश्चंस कैसे लिखने हैं, एग्जाम में कैसे लिखने हैं. स्ट्रेट वे जब तक आपको कंटेंट पता नहीं है, सीधा हम क्वेश्चन के बारे में आप कैसे समझ पाएंगे? आप नहीं समझ पाएंगे तब तक. Yes, Rahul, teaming and leading is not part of financial reporting. It is a technique of fraud. It is a technique of suppressing receipts. Yes, Mamta is saying nature of financial reporting के थर्ड पैरा में डाउट है. Yes, what is the third para? थर्ड पैरा में एग्जाम्पल दिए हुए ममता, देर इज एग्जाम्पल गिवन. सो हम इस एग्जाम्पल को पढ़ लेते हैं. लेट अस स्टडी दिस एग्जाम्पल. कि मैनेजमेंट ऑफ कंपनी की मैनेजमेंट ने एक सिस्टम बनाया है. सो स्टूडेंट्स, फर्स्ट आई एम स्पीकिंग इन हिंदी एंड देन आई विल ऑल्सो बी स्पीकिंग इन इंग्लिश. ओके. कंपनी ने एक सिस्टम बनाया है कि जो परचेज बिल है उस पे सिग्नेचर और स्टैंप होने चाहिए ऑथोराइज पर्सन के गुड्स रिसीविंग सेक्शन ऑफ द कंपनी में. कि कंपनी जो भी रॉ मटेरियल परचेज कर रही है वो पहले कंपनी के गुड्स रिसीविंग सेक्शन में आता है, वहां पे वो चेक होता है. उस पे सपोज बिल में लिखा हुआ है कि 1000 केजी गुड्स आए, तो वो जो आदमी है गुड्स रिसीविंग सेक्शन में, वो देखता है कि 1000 केजी गुड्स हैं, वो उनको, और या वो गुड्स वे होके आए हैं कंपनी के वेइंग स्केल पे, और उसके पास उसकी स्लिप है, ओके, तो वो उस पे उसको साइन करता है, ओके। तो ये क्या कंपनी ने क्या बनाया हुआ है, ये एक इंटरनल कंट्रोल बनाया हुआ है, ये कंपनी ने क्या बनाया हुआ है, इंटरनल कंट्रोल। कंपनी हैज प्रिपेयर्ड इंटरनल कंट्रोल। सो अब सपोज अकाउंटेंट के पास बिल जाए और अकाउंटेंट बिना उसकी स्टैंप साइन देखे ऐसे बिल को पास कर दे, कंपनी ने तो अपनी तरफ से कंट्रोल बनाया हुआ है कि बिल पे गुड्स रिसीविंग सेक्शन की स्टैंप और साइन होनी चाहिए, लेकिन और अकाउंटेंट को यह देखना है कि गुड्स रिसीविंग सेक्शन की स्टैंप और साइन है कि नहीं। अब अकाउंटेंट और गुड्स रिसीविंग सेक्शन वाला आदमी दोनों मिल जाते हैं, कॉल्यूड कर जाते हैं, ओके। सो और अकाउंटेंट जो है बिना उसकी स्टैंप साइन देखे उस बिल की पेमेंट करवा देता है, तो क्या हो गया, कंट्रोल्स बाईपास हो गए कि नहीं। जो मैनेजमेंट ने कंट्रोल सिस्टम बनाया था उसका पर्पस डिफीट हो गया कि नहीं। तो उसका पर्पस डिफीट हो गया कि नहीं, ये बताइए। सो डॉली, इज इट क्लियर टू यू। सो अब हर एक कंट्रोल तो ऑडिटर वेरीफाई नहीं कर सकता, इसलिए ऑडिटर ऑडिट करते समय पहले कंट्रोल्स की भी टेस्ट चेकिंग करता है, वो कंट्रोल्स को भी टेस्ट करता है, कुछ इंपॉर्टेंट कंट्रोल्स को। सो इफ कंट्रोल्स आर वर्किंग सेटिस्फैक्टरली, देन ही गेट्स कंफर्ट, ही गेट्स एश्योरेंस, ओके। एंड इफ कंट्रोल्स आर नॉट working satisfactorily, then he needs to increase his area of checking, okay. Okay, yes Devender, you are asking control is tool of management, yes, obviously Devender, good. Control is the responsibility of the management. Controls are devised by the management, internal controls are devised by the management. But what is the responsibility of auditor? Auditor's responsibility is to see, to test whether controls are operating satisfactorily or not. क्योंकि उसके अगर कंट्रोल्स ठीक चल रहे हैं तो उसके बेस पे ऑडिटर अपना जो प्रोसीजर्स उसने और अडॉप्ट करने हैं उसके बारे में डिसाइड करेगा, ओके। Now Dolly, you are asking about chapter 11. We are in chapter 1. Yes, Suraj, again, students, you have to understand that controls are devised and maintained by the company. It is a system devised and maintained by the company. So auditor has only to test those controls in important areas. Like he would test controls in operating in purchase section. He would test controls operating in sales section. He would test controls over expenses. He has not himself to devise the controls. You are correct that controls are devised by the management. These are not only devised, but these are also maintained by the management. But checking these, verifying these, testing these falls within the scope of audit. So we were discussing about limitations. So because because the controls can be bypassed, this leads to inherent limitations of audit. This leads to the fact that the financial statements may be materially misstated. Okay. Yes, if the see in exam, Neha, you would be not getting to write an answer involve having 10 marks weightage. There are very short questions in the exams containing 3 marks or 4 marks. So you have to write precise paras, 1 or 2 paras, or at the most 3 paras you can write. 10-15 lines would be sufficient. Yes, Aishwarya, you are right. Auditor first checks internal control, and checking internal control to clear your doubts, Aishwarya, is also part of audit. It is not that audit starts afterwards. Checking internal controls is also part of audit. Yes, Anmol, collude means when two or more persons get together. मिल जाना, मिली भगत करना. Collude means मिली भगत. Yes, Vandana. What is your query? What are you asking, Vandana? Please resend your query, Vandana. Yes, Vanna, please resend your query. And Harsh Singh, sir, we can't come such limitations. Yes, yes, Harsh, you are right. Since we can't overcome such limitation, that is why it leads to limitation of audit. That is why we say that it leads to inherent limitations of audit. You understand now? So every step is correlated. Every step is linked to one another. That is why we are saying that audit suffers from inherent limitation. क्योंकि ऐसा हो सकता है, और आप इसको स्टूडेंट्स लॉजिकली सोचे तो यही वजह है कि ऑडिटर एब्सोल्यूट एश्योरेंस नहीं देता. दिस इज द रीजन दैट ऑडिटर गिव्स रीजनेबल एश्योरेंस. Yes, Swati, how the auditor checks internal control. This again you would be reading in chapter 3. For the time being, you can understand that auditor checks internal control. Okay. And second point of audit procedure is second point of inherent limitations of audit is nature of audit procedures. So what was the first point? First point was nature of financial reporting. Second point is nature of audit procedures. अब audit procedures क्या होते हैं स्टूडेंट्स? Audit procedures are procedures through which auditor performs his work. Like say when auditor wants to confirm a trade debtor, a trade receivable, he sends a confirmation request. He sends a confirmation request to that party कि आप कंफर्म करो कि आपका बैलेंस आपकी बुक्स में इतना बैलेंस आ रहा है कि नहीं. So this we call as external confirmation procedure. Or say when auditors sees the employees of the company carrying out physical verification of inventories. Okay. So this we call as observation. इसको हम क्या कहते हैं? Observation. तो एक लिमिटेशन ये तो हो गए ऑडिट प्रोसीजर्स। अब ऑडिट, इन्हीं ऑडिट प्रोसीजर की वजह से इनहेरेंट लिमिटेशंस ऑडिट में अराइज होती हैं। क्यों? क्योंकि इन प्रोसीजर्स की भी कुछ लिमिटेशंस हैं। What are those limitations? These are, students, very two important words. These are practical and legal limitations. These are practical and legal limitations. So what is practical, what is practical limitation and what is legal limitation? Practical limitation means that auditor is not in a position to check all the transactions, to verify all the transactions. Okay, this is practical limitations. He conducts verification, he conducts checking on a sample basis. So this is practical limitations on his ability to obtain audit evidence. Okay. And what is legal limitation? Legal limitation is, say, the auditor cannot force somebody in the company to provide him the information. He can only request somebody to provide that information or to provide that document. Suppose I am an auditor of a company and I ask for certain documents from that company in some area. Okay, and the company fails to provide those documents. So what is the option left before me? I would be able to write in my report in the form of opinion. I would give that opinion which is suitable in those circumstances. Okay, since I am not able to obtain certain information, I am not able to obtain audit evidence, so I would give my opinion accordingly. Giving my opinion is in my hands, but forcing somebody to give some information is not in my hands, is not in auditor's hands. Clear, students? क्लियर है स्टूडेंट्स आपको कि प्रैक्टिकल लिमिटेशन और लीगल लिमिटेशन में क्या फर्क है? प्रैक्टिकल लिमिटेशन मींस दैट ऑडिटर कैन नॉट कंडक्ट verification of every transaction. He is not in a position to conduct verification of every transaction. And what is legal limitation? Legal limitation means that auditor can do only the work which falls within his scope. He is not a government officer who can force somebody to uh, to uh, to compel them to make a statement. If somebody doesn't respond to his inquiries, then the auditor, the option left before the auditor is to change his opinion, is to modify his opinion. So you understand the difference between practical and legal limitations. So because of these practical and legal limitations, because of these nature of audit procedures, inherent limitations of audit arise. Clear, students? Is it clear, students? और ऐसा भी हो सकता है स्टूडेंट्स, like some student was pointing out that management itself is involved in committing fraud. Okay, management itself is involved in committing fraud. So what happens? सो मैनेजमेंट खुद, कंपनी की मैनेजमेंट, जो कंपनी के ऑनर्स हैं, वो ही फ्रॉड में इन्वॉल्व हैं सपोज। सो इन सर्कमस्टांसिस में इट वुड बी वेरी डिफिकल्ट फॉर द ऑडिटर टू डिटेक्ट ए फ्रॉड, क्योंकि मैनेजमेंट ने अपने सिस्टम भी उस हिसाब से फ्रॉड करने के लिए चेंज कर रखे हैं। सो ऑडिटर को इसके बारे में पता ही नहीं चलेगा, एंड इट हैपन्स प्रैक्टिकली ऑल्सो दैट frauds go unnoticed because senior management is involved in conducting fraud. So it would be difficult for the auditor to conduct to detect those frauds. ओके क्योंकि ऑडिटर के जो प्रोसीजर्स हैं वो इस बात को इंश्योर नहीं करते कि फ्रॉड हमेशा डिटेक्ट होगा। ऑडिटर इस बात को सोच के नहीं चलता, काम करता कि दैट देयर इज ए फ्रॉड इन द कंपनी, बट वो अपने प्रोसीजर्स जो स्टैंडर्ड्स में प्रेस्क्राइब किए गए हैं उनके अकॉर्डिंग चलेगा। और अगर उसको प्रोसीजर्स परफॉर्म करते हुए कोई फ्रॉड मिलता है देन इट्स वेल एंड ही वुड रिपोर्ट, लेकिन वो ये सोच के नहीं चलता दैट आई हैव टू डिग आउट ए फ्रॉड। ओके, क्लियर स्टूडेंट्स? Yes, Divya, you are asking why management do fraud. There can be many reasons for management to do fraud, Divya. Like, like they may want to increase their share prices artificially, or they might want to take more loan from bank. They might want to take more credit facilities from bank. सपोज एक कंपनी की सेल एक्चुअल में 50 करोड़ रुपए है, लेकिन बैंक से और लोन लेने के लिए वो उसकी सेल इन्फ्लेट करके 75 करोड़ दिखाते हैं, although sale has not actually taken place. So this is an example of fraud committed by the management, because why? Senior management is itself involved in committing the fraud. Okay. Or Rahul, you are asking, auditor is unwell while doing audit. Does it count as practical limitation? It is not a limitation. When he becomes well, he would conduct the audit. How it is a limitation? The auditor reports to the appointing authority, to the management. Okay. और एक चीज स्टूडेंट्स हम पहले ही पढ़ चुके हैं कि ऑडिटर जो है डॉक्यूमेंट्स की ऑथेंटिकेशन का एक्सपर्ट नहीं है। दैट ऑडिटर इज नॉट एन expert in authentication of documents. Therefore, it is quite possible that he falsely believes, he may be led to believe, management may lead him to believe that some documents are reliable, whereas those documents may be fabricated, whereas those documents may be fake. Okay. Yes, Rohini, you are saying that you are unable to know where to answer for questions. You can reply in these mails only. And another thing, students, you have heard about related parties. आपने सुना है इस टर्म का नाम सुना है आपने, रिलेटेड पार्टीज? क्या होती है रिलेटेड पार्टीज? Yes, students, have you heard this term related parties? अकाउंट्स में आपने कभी पहले पढ़ा है ये टर्म रिलेटेड पार्टीज? Yes. Any idea of students? What do you mean by related parties? Yes, students, tell me. Have you any idea of what do you mean by related parties? No, Anmol, no. You are saying the parties with which an entity transacts like debtors, and Divya is saying supplier, creditor, debtors. No, these are not related parties. Related parties means, say, for example, like Meenakshi is right to, like Meenakshi is right. Like say students, I am director in a company and I am also director in some another company. Okay. And this company X and another company Y uh, in which I am also director, these are entering into some transactions. Okay. Or the company is owned by same persons and entities owned by same persons, and it is carrying out transactions, say of purchase, sales, or any other transaction with some other entities in which these persons have also got significant interest. So these are called related parties. Okay. So this is one of the example of the related parties. So it can happen that the company or the entity has entered into transactions with some related parties. So now whether such transactions are genuine or fake, these may be paper transactions because both the parties are known to each other, the management is common, these may be paper transactions. So the auditor would need to be extra careful. So it also leads to inherent limitations of audit because the chances of misstatements in such cases would be more, and the procedures used by the auditor may not be able to detect those misstatements. Okay, yes, Sanjana Ben Chauhan, what is your question? Yes, Shivam, you have understood wrongly. You are writing transactions which have not much relation. Transactions transaction between parties which have some sort of relation, which have some sort of connection. These are related parties. Okay. So स्टूडेंट्स एक बार हम दोबारा से रिलेटेड पार्टीज के बारे में जानते हैं. से मैं एक कंपनी में डायरेक्टर हूं और मैं किसी और कंपनी में भी डायरेक्टर हूं. मैं एक्स कंपनी में डायरेक्टर हूं, मैं वाई कंपनी में भी डायरेक्टर हूं. एक्स कंपनी कुछ मटेरियल परचेज कर रही है वाई कंपनी से. तो ये ट्रांजैक्शन जो है रिलेटेड पार्टी ट्रांजैक्शन हो गई. रिलेटेड पार्टी क्यों हो गई? क्योंकि दोनों में डायरेक्टर कॉमन है. इस वजह से देयर कैन बी ए पॉसिबिलिटी दैट द ट्रांजैक्शन द ट्रांजैक्शंस आर मिसस्टेटेड. देयर कुड बी ट्रांजैक्शन, हो सकता है जेन्युइन भी हो, लेकिन उस चीज की पॉसिबिलिटी बढ़ जाती है. ये नहीं है कि इसके बारे में कोई बैन है, कोई बार है इसके बारे में कि दो रिलेटेड पार्टीज के बीच में ट्रांजैक्शन नहीं हो सकती. ट्रांजैक्शंस आर कैन हैपन, between the related parties, but from the auditor's point of view, there can be greater chances of misstatements between transactions when they happen between the related parties. Okay, so when there are greater chances of misstatements, it would lead to limitations. It would lead to inherent limitations because you can't stop some company from undertaking transaction with the related party. They can conduct transactions. They can transact between them. There is no legal bar. But the probability, but the chances of misstatements are greater. Okay. Why? Because it may happen that auditor does not know about the nature of related parties. Auditor को पता ही ना चले कि related party जो है वो related party नहीं है. Say if X company is transacting with Y company, but the auditor does not know about the ownership of the Y company. He is in dark. Okay. Clear? Yes, clear students. Related parties का मतलब आपको clear है? Girija, while sending your mail, take care. You have filled my mailbox. Okay. Or and another limitation is that audit is not an investigation. Okay. That audit is not an investigation. It also leads to inherent limitation क्योंकि audit investigation नहीं है. It is lower than investigation. The auditor does not have the same power as an investigator. So he cannot give absolute assurance. So he cannot give absolute assurance. He cannot give complete assurance. Okay. Now we come to the fourth point. Timeliness of financial reporting and decrease in relevance of information over time. Yes. Students, अब इस पॉइंट को जरा ध्यान से समझिए. इस पॉइंट को ध्यान से समझिए स्टूडेंट्स. Say student, there is an auditor conducting audit of a company since last 2 years. 2 साल से ऑडिटर जो है एक कंपनी का ऑडिट कर रहा है, वही ऑडिटर है. So obviously he knows all the employees of the company. He knows about the nature of the company. He knows about the business of the company. He knows about the working of the company. He knows about the controls of the company. Okay. He knows what is the system of the company to achieve its objectives. And say in the previous audit, he has tested some controls. और थर्ड ईयर में आके से he says that while doing audit of third year, he says that I had tested this area last time. So he skips those areas in third year. He chooses not to test those areas in third year. So what happens in such a case? So the auditor would have to remember that relevance of information decreases over time. That information which is fresh, that evidence which is fresh, it is more relevant. Whereas evidence or information which is old or which was obtained in past, its value decreases. Okay, so therefore, sometimes auditor may skip some procedure that it was tested by him in his past. But the past information, it might have become irrelevant now. It might have lost its irrelevance. So it also leads to inherent limitations of audit. Okay. Yes, you would be related party, Manohar. Okay. So clear, students? And another limitation of inherent limitation of audit arises because of future events. That is also very important, students. So students, you have to remember that auditing is not connected with future events. So it might so happen that future events may affect a company badly. So what would happen in future? Auditor does not know. He cannot know. Okay. So says demand of a product goes down in future, in coming years, and the company shuts its business. It goes out of business. So can the auditor visualize such type of situation? Can auditor comment on such type of situation? Yes, students. Can auditor visualize such type of situation? Can auditor comment on such type of situation? Can he give his opinion on such type of situation? No, the answer would be no. So therefore, since the audit is not related to future events and a company or an entity may be affected badly by the future events. So therefore, the auditor is not able to provide an absolute assurance. The auditor is not able to provide an absolute assurance that financial statements are free from material misstatements. Okay. Yes, Srinivasan, you are asking if director disclosed the interest. Probably you intend to write interest, not internet. Even if the director discloses his interest, that is also related party transaction. It would not change the nature of transaction. It would be related party transaction. Now the auditor concern would be to see whether related party whether he knows of all related party transactions, and if he knows whether these related party transactions are genuine, these are not fake. Okay. Yes, Anmol, you are asking that if auditor also colludes with the management. अगर auditor ही अनमोल management से मिल गया तो he would be liable under law. He would be liable under law. There are specific provisions under Companies Act to deal with such a situation. Okay. Yes, Priyanka, contingent liability also affects the auditor's opinion. Say if contingent liabilities are not disclosed, so it would not amount to proper disclosure. So misstatement, you have to remember, it can not only be difference in amount, it can be a difference in disclosure, or absence of a disclosure, or uh, improper presentation of a disclosure. Okay. Yes, Meenakshi, person who has substantial interest of in company is also a related party. Yes, Sarvanshu, auditor is liable if he knows, if he makes a false report. This is violation of professional ethics. He is liable if he makes a false report. He is liable. He is liable not only under for companies under Companies Act, but also under the Code of Ethics issued by ICAI. He would be guilty of professional misconduct. Yes, Kusum. When the company does not provide information, it is a limitation. It is a legal limitation on the part of on in audit procedures, because auditor cannot force company to give the information. He can request. If the company does not provide, that only thing in the hands of auditor is to give his opinion in those circumstances. He would change his opinion. He would not give a clean chit. He would write that the company has not provided me the information and explanation which was called for by me. Okay. No, Shivam, members and employees are not related parties. Members and employees in itself are not related parties. What you are trying to say, your question, what you are trying to say if some employee is there, and or if some shareholder is there, say if company is transacting with some with another company in which shareholder who is holding interest in this company is also holding interest in that company, then it becomes a related party. But merely say making a transaction with certain employee within the company, it is not a related party transaction. Yes, Neha, you are asking auditor can find the area of loss of company. What are you asking, Neha? Your question is not clear. Yes, Neha, your question is not clear. Auditor can find the area of loss of company. What is its meaning? What are you trying to ask? Yes, Neha, what are you trying to ask? Your question is not clear. Please explain. What are you trying to ask? And Kirthana L. If auditor gives report by omitting any information which he is kept in dark, would he be liable? Say, students, you have to understand this. If auditor has required some information, okay, and the management doesn't give that information, then the auditor would change his opinion. However, if the auditor has not asked for that information, then how he would change his opinion? First, he has to ask for that information. Only then management would provide. Okay. Yes, Divya, holding and subsidiary are related parties. Yes, Gunjan, adversely mean badly. Like कि कोई future में कुछ हो गया, मान लो से कोविड आ गया था, डिड एनीबॉडी नो दैट कोविड इज गोइंग टू कम? सो कई कंपनीज कोविड में दे हैड टू शट डाउन देयर शटर्स, कई कंपनीज का बिजनेस लॉस हो गया, कई कंपनीज की टर्नओवर कम हो गई। ओके, सो इट मींस सच इवेंट affected those companies adversely. It affected those companies badly. Okay. Is it clear to you, Gunjan? Yes, Rahul. You are asking, can a current auditor take advice of former auditor in forming opinion? He doesn't take advice. He reviews his audit report. What were his observations? He reviews the previous year's financial statements. Okay. So today, students, we have touched upon the scope of audit, upon the inherent limitation of audit. We have studied what does an audit include, and what an audit does not include, and we have also studied what are the limitations of audit, what are the drawbacks which are inbuilt within the audit, beyond which audit cannot move. Okay, so this is for today, and okay, students, so we'll see you on Friday, and we'll also do some questions. We'll also do some MCQs on Friday. Okay. So see you guys on Friday. Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, guys, for hearing me, for listening me patiently. Session over.